Only a few characters are as unusual as Thane Krios. At first glance, Thane appears to be everything people expect from an assassin. He is quiet, precise, and extremely dangerous. His reputation alone is enough to make powerful individuals fear him. He is considered one of the most skilled assassins in the galaxy, someone capable of eliminating targets with incredible accuracy and efficiency. But Thane Krios is not simply a killer. Let's take a look at his story. Behind the reputation, behind the weapons, and behind years of violence, there is a person who spends every day questioning what he has done. Thane is a Drell, a species with a unique history in the galaxy. The Drell once lived on the planet Rakhana, but environmental collapse threatened their survival. The Hanar eventually rescued many of them and brought them to their own homeworld, Kahje. In return, the Drell entered into an agreement known as the Compact, creating a close relationship between the two species. For Thane, that relationship shaped his entire childhood. At only 6 years old, he was given to the Hanar and trained as an assassin. By the time he was 12, he had already taken his first life. For years, Thane lived according to one simple purpose: complete the mission, eliminate the target, move on. Unlike many assassins who viewed their work only as a profession, Thane developed a very personal relationship with every life he took. His species' perfect memory meant that he could never truly forget his actions. Every mission, every phase, and every death remained with him. Because of this, Thane developed a deep spiritual side. Before missions, he would pray for success. After completing a kill, he would pray again, asking forgiveness for what he had done. To Thane, assassination was not something to celebrate. It was something he carried as a burden. He viewed his body almost like a weapon, something that could be used to perform an action, while his true self remained separate from the violence. But that belief became harder to maintain as the years passed. Because no matter how much Thane tried to separate himself from his actions, he still remembered everything. Every single person, every single moment, every life he ended. Eventually, Thane's life changed because of someone who was never supposed to be part of it. During one of his assassination missions, Thane prepared to eliminate the target, but before he could take the shot, Erika noticed the target in laser and stepped in front of it, risking her own life to protect someone she did not even know. For Thane, this moment was impossible to understand. Why would someone willingly put themselves in danger for a stranger? The answer changed the direction of his entire life. Instead of seeing Erika as another person connected to a mission, Thane became fascinated by her compassion. She represented something completely different from the world he knew, a world where people could choose kindness even when there was nothing to gain from it. Eventually, Thane left behind the life he had known and began a relationship with Erika. Together, they built a family. They had a son named Kolyat, and for the first time, Thane experienced something beyond missions and contracts. He had people who cared about him and a reason to imagine a different future. However, leaving his old life was not easy. Thane had spent years as an assassin, and it was the only skill he truly knew. Even after becoming a husband and father, he continued taking contracts. He tried to keep his work separate from his family, but the distance between those two worlds slowly grew. The assassin life always swallowed him, and the consequences caught up with him. After Thane killed a dangerous Batarian target, enemies looking for revenge discovered his identity through the Shadow Broker. Unable to confront Thane directly, they attacked the one person closest to him. Erika was murdered, and this loss destroyed Thane. For the first time in his life, his actions were no longer distant missions or names on lists. The violence he had been part of had reached the person he loved the most. Driven by grief and anger, Thane hunted down those responsible. But this time was different. He did not follow his usual rules. He did not simply complete the mission and walk away. His emotions took control, and the man who had always tried to separate himself from his work became consumed by revenge. After it was over, Thane was forced to confront the truth. He had spent his life trying to convince himself that he was only a tool. But tools do not feel guilt. Tools do not pray for forgiveness. Thane realized that he was responsible for his choices, and that understanding became the foundation of his search for redemption. Years later, Thane found himself facing another difficult truth. His body was failing. He was suffering from Krios syndrome, a terminal illness affecting Drell living in the humid environment of Kahje. His time was limited, and he knew that he could not escape the consequences of his past forever. Instead of fearing death, Thane became focused on finding peace. When Commander Shepard encounters him on Ilium during the events of Mass Effect 2, Thane is preparing to complete one final assassination. But unlike his previous contracts, this mission is not about money or reputation. It is about using what remains of his life for something meaningful. Thane's condition, Krios syndrome, has already begun affecting his body. The disease is slowly damaging his lungs, making every day more difficult and reminding him that he doesn't have much time left. For someone else, such a diagnosis might have led to fear or desperation, but for Thane, it creates a different kind of urgency. He does not want to spend his remaining time chasing survival at any cost. Instead, he wants to make sure that the life he has left has meaning. When Shepard recruits Thane for the mission against the Collectors, they do not simply gain another skilled fighter. They gain someone who has spent his entire life learning how to observe people, understand motivations, and act with absolute precision. Thane's skills as an assassin are undeniable. He is calm under pressure, extremely disciplined, and capable of eliminating targets that others would consider impossible to reach. But what makes him different from other assassins is the way he views his own abilities. Thane doesn't see killing as something impressive, he sees it as a responsibility. Before a mission, he asks for strength and focus. Afterward, he remembers the person whose life he ended. For Thane, these prayers are not just a religious tradition, they are his way of acknowledging the weight of his action. Joining Shepard gives him something he has been searching for, a chance to use his abilities for a purpose beyond contracts. But before he can truly move forward, Thane must confront the part of his past that still causes him the most pain. His son, Kolyat Krios. After Erika's death, Thane lost his connection with Kolyat. Grief, guilt, and the consequences of his old life created a distance between them that neither of them knew how to overcome. Thane loved his son, but he also understood that he failed him. He had spent years believing he could separate his work from his family. He thought that the violence he brought into the world would stay away from the people he cared about, but it did not. The pain of losing Erika was not only a pain of losing his wife. It was also the realization that his choices had affected the people closest to him. During Shepard's mission on the Citadel, Thane discovers that Kolyat has followed a path similar to his own. His son has become an assassin, and he is preparing to carry out his first major contract. For Thane, this is terrifying. He understands exactly where the path leads because he has already walked it. Kolyat believes that becoming an assassin will give him purpose and prove himself, but Thane sees the truth. He is repeating the same mistakes that destroyed his own life. The mission becomes more than stopping a single assassination. It becomes a chance for a father and son to finally face everything they never said. Thane does not try to justify his own past. He does not pretend that he was forced into every decision or that his actions had no consequences. Instead, he admits his mistakes. He tells Kolyat the truth about the life he lived and the pain it caused. He wants his son to understand that violence may offer temporary solutions, but it leaves lasting wounds. This moment is one of the most important parts of Thane's character. For much of his life, he believed his role was simply to complete tasks. Now he understands that the most important thing he can do is prevent someone else from making the same choices. Saving Kolyat is not about defeating another enemy, it is about breaking a cycle. The mission also shows one of the strongest aspects of Thane's personality, his ability to accept responsibility. Many characters in the Mass Effect universe are shaped by difficult circumstances, but Thane never uses his past as an excuse. He acknowledges that he was influenced by others, trained by others, and used by others, but ultimately, his choices belong to him. That honesty is what makes his search for redemption so meaningful. Thane doesn't believe that he can erase the lives he has taken. He knows that there is no way to undo the past. Instead, he focuses on what he still can do. He can protect others. He can help his son to choose a different path. He can make sure that the final actions of his life are not defined only by what came before. During the Collector mission, Thane is a valuable ally. His experience, patience, and discipline makes him an important member of the Normandy crew, but his greatest contribution is not only his ability in combat, it is his perspective. Thane understands that every person fighting in the war has a story. Every soldier, every civilian, every victim is more than just a number. He has spent his life taking lives. Now he spends his remaining time trying to protect them. That contrast defines Thane Krios. He is not a man trying to convince others that he was never a killer. He is a man who accepts that he was one and chooses to become something more. By the end of Mass Effect 2, Thane has found something he had been missing for years. Not forgiveness from others, but peace with himself. He cannot change the person he used to be, but he can decide what kind of person he wants to be until the very end. When the Reapers invade the galaxy, Thane Krios already knows that his own battle is coming to an end. His illness continues to progress, and every day becomes a reminder that his time is limited. But despite his condition, Thane refuses to simply disappear and wait for the end. The Reaper War changes the meaning of everything. The galaxy is no longer divided by individual conflicts, political disagreements, or personal ambitions. Entire civilizations are fighting for survival, and every person who can help becomes important. For Thane, this means there is still a reason to continue fighting. When Commander Shepard reunites with him during the events of Mass Effect 3, Thane is no longer the same person who joined the Normandy during the Collector mission. He is weaker physically, but his determination remains unchanged. His illness has taken away much of his strength, but it has also given him a clearer understanding of what truly matters. He no longer seeks redemption through impossible achievements, and he don't need to prove that he is something different from the assassin he once was. Instead, he focuses on protecting people who are still alive. His relationship with Kolyat has become one of the most important parts of his life. After years of distance and regret, Thane finally has a connection with his son again. Their relationship is not perfect, and the past cannot simply disappear, but they have found a way to move forward. He spent much of his life believing that he had lost the chance of being a father. Now, even with little time remaining, he has something he thought he would never have again. When the Reaper War reaches the Citadel, Thane finds himself involved in one of the most important moments of the conflict. The attack on the Citadel reveals just how dangerous the situation has become. Political leaders are targeted, alliances are threatened, and the war begins reaching places that were once considered safe. During the attack, Thane uses his skills for one final time. Not as an assassin searching for a target, but as a protector defending someone who cannot defend themselves. When Kahje, an elite Cerberus operative, attempts to assassinate the Salarian Counselor, Thane intervenes. Despite his weakened condition, he fights with the same precision and determination that made him famous. This moment is important because it shows exactly who Thane has become. The man who once used his abilities to take lives now uses them to save one. His past and his present come together in a single decision. He knows he is not as strong as he once was. He knows the fight is dangerous, and he knows his body may not allow him to survive. But he acts anyway, because protecting others has become more important than protecting himself. The confrontation with Kahje ends with Thane suffering a fatal injury. As he lies dying, he does not focus on his own fear. Instead, his thoughts turn toward his fate, his son, and the people he cares about. His final moments are quiet, reflecting the person he had always been beneath the assassin's reputation. A man searching for peace. A man who carried the memories of his actions but refused to let them define his entire existence. Thane's death is one of the most emotional moments in Mass Effect 3 because it doesn't represent failure. He doesn't die because he was unable to change. He dies after proving he already had. The assassin who once lived only through contracts and targets spent his final moments protecting someone else. After his death, Kolyat continues honoring his father's memory. The relationship they rebuild becomes one of the most important things Thane leaves behind. Not a reputation or a list of accomplishments, a person. Someone who knows him not as an assassin, but as a father. And that is perhaps the greatest redemption Thane could have received. And this will be all about Thane's story in Mass Effect Trilogy. I really hope you enjoyed this video as always, and if you did, please leave like and subscribe and tell me in the comments who is Thane to you. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you and bye!